Okay, so I'm just going to tie a selection of early spring still water patterns that kind of my go-to patterns that I use, and I know they'll work on waters that you're going to fish down here because we used them the other day. So I'm going to start off with a very good leech that we use that I tied up a number of years ago, and it's called the ruby-eyed leech, and it's using a material. I don't know. Can you see that on the screen? Yeah. So this is Arizona semi-seal, but it's a 50-50 mix of black and red semi-seal and red semi-seal. So you take and you mix it together in a blender. So 50-50 black and red, those two colors. Okay. And then I pre-tied them a dubbing brush using red copper wire, and that's going to be the body of the fly, and the tail of the fly is just going to be the dub mixture. So I'm tying this pattern on 10 2x and 8 2x of curved nymph hooks, like Daiichi 1760 in a 10 and an 8, and I'm going to be tying this one on a 10 today. And I like to tie them, the original ruby-eyed I tied with a copper cone head followed by a 1/8 copper cone head followed by a 1/8 silver line glass bead, so everybody can see that. And so I just slide them on. I debarb the hook first, put the cone head, and then slide the bead on. And then I also tie the identical pattern with a gold cone head. It works. Sometimes just a little subtle change in using a copper versus a gold, depending on the clarity of the water, can really change how effective a fly can be. And it's not just with this fly, with any fly, just changing the color of if you're going to use a bead. So I'm just using some 8/0 black tying thread. And I think one of the reasons why this fly works so well is because I'm tying it left-handed, and that's probably makes a difference. All right, so I'm just going to take a bit of the dubbing now, and just a little pinch of the dubbing, and you can substitute maroon marabou. You can use that for the tail, but I just like to use the dubbing. So I'm just going to lay it down. So. And then I'm going to take the dubbing brush that I made, and you can see the red copper wire core. So the reason why I'm tying it on a red copper wire core is that when you comb this, when you use a dubbing brush and comb all the fibers out, you'll see the ribbing of the red copper through the fly. Okay, so I like that added bit of flash to it. So pretty simple, tightening in at the bend. So, and then I'm just going to wind it forward. So, and then we're going to comb everything out so it'll look good in the end. So pretty simple fly to tie, and this is a very good pattern to fish under an indicator. Casting it out, letting it sit, and then giving it the odd, if it's calm out, giving it the odd short, slow pull. But where it really shines is wind drifting it. So you're anchored up, and you can quarter out to the side of your boat and let it drift down. Let your a slight belly in your fly line, and the indicator's just drifting along. But what I really like to do is cast into the wind, into a gentle, just a little riffle on the water, not a howling gale. And you cast straight upwind, and then you mend your foot, just keep a tight line, just pick up the slack, and that's a drag-free drift. And of course, we're tying this fly on, anything subsurface on, with a non-slip loop knot, so that you're adding that much more life. So you can tie this identical fly, like Phil Rowley ties the identical fly. He likes to tie them balanced, and I'll tie them balanced as well, so it sits horizontal in the water. And we both like to tie them on the 4640, the 60-degree jig hook, the Daiichi hook, and so that fly then sits on about a 45-degree angle. So it's just an offset angle of presentation as it's drifting through the water, but still, just the standard ruby-eyed, it catches a lot of fish for us. And we used it yesterday when Phil and I did our on the water seminar. We caught fish on the ruby-eye. So I'm just pulling some of the fibers out.
What size wire is that? Is it small?
Yeah. So what I like to do is I'll tie half a dozen of these guys up, and then you just take a measuring Pyrex measuring cup, put about a quarter cup of water in it, put it in the microwave, get it just about boiling, and then drop your flies into it, and the hot water will take the memory out of the mohair. And then you take your dubbing brush again, and you can comb it out, and you get rid of all the frizziness that's sticking out in the sides of this fly. And so you can do that on any of the leeches, any flies you tie that are dubbed on or tied with a mohair. That hot water will just takes the memory out of it. And the flies, I'm just trying to imitate it now by wetting it, but you know that's what the fly is going to look like when it's finished. And I'm just going to trim that just a titch. So real simple pattern, but very effective. Again, you can tie it balanced. You can tie it on a jig hook, on a 60-degree jig hook, or you can tie it just on a straight hook. And the key is when you're going to fish it, whether you're stripping with wet lines, fishing it naked with a floating line long leader, or under an indicator, it's always going to be tied on with a non-slip loop knot to make it swim that much better.